Afternoon. This is Suzannah Robinson. I'm a district court judge in Sweetwater County. Are you ready for me to start? I'm assuming.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes,
All
we
right.
are.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm very excited to be here today, and I hope all of you are as well. I am the presiding judge today for this mock trial. And also we have scoring judges Todd Hambrick, Brianne Phillips, Patrick Brady, and Macrina Jarabek that should be watching today. The first thing I think we need to do is have everyone introduce themselves. And so if we could have the first team introduce who they are and who their witnesses will be.
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Rebecca Paget. I'll be conducting the direct examination of Parker Nichols and conducting the cross-examination of Andy Swift, as well as giving the concluding statement. If I could have my fellow attorneys introduce themselves.
Go ahead.
I will be conducting the direct examination of.
My name is Garrett Parker. Your Honor, I will be conducting the direct examination of Jamie Kildare and the cross-examination of Cody Bender. And the opening statement.
All right, so I don't know if anyone else was having some feedback issues, but I know that I certainly was. And this seems to be, this is what happens in real life too. And so I have Ms. Paget is the attorney for, I believe, the state. And then I have Attorney Parker. And are you also for the state?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, thank you.
If our witnesses could introduce themselves.
Go ahead.
I'm Amy Terminello. Hello, whoa. Sorry about that. I'm Ailey Terminello, and I'll be portraying Mickey Espinoza.
I'm Charlotte French, and I will be portraying Parker Nichols.
My name is Sarah Stipe, and I'll be portraying Jamie Kildare.
All right, and I'm going to ask the attorneys to help me a little bit because I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm having some difficulty hearing some of the individuals talking. I believe we had a witness last name of Nichols, last name of Espinoza, and then a last name of, was it Tanner?
No, Your Honor, it is Kildare.
Kildare?
Yes, Kildare.
All right, thank you. And is that it for the state's team?
Yes, that is.
All right, and for the defense, if you could introduce your attorneys and then witnesses.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. What?
It's feedback.
Is it feedback? Is it really bad?
As mentioned, please don't use earbuds.
Okay. Good evening, Your Honor.
My name is Aspen Decker, and I will be conducting the opening statement for the defense, the direct examination of Casey Moore, and the cross-examination of Parker Nichols.
Thank you.
Sorry. Good evening, Your Honor, members of the jury. My name is Kieran Burns, and today I will be giving the direct examination of Cody Bender and the cross-examination of Jamie Kildare.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury. My name is Sabrina Geller, and today I will be doing the direct examination of Andy Swift, the cross-examination of Mickey Espinoza, as well as defense's closing argument. At this time, may our witnesses please introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Molly Rampula, and today I will be portraying Casey Moore.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury. I'm Kathleen Rooney, and I will be portraying Cody Bender.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury. My name is Magali Alday, and I will be portraying Andy Swift.
And is that it for the defense team? I will take that as a yes. Are there any preliminary matters that need to be discussed from the state?
Yes, there are, Your Honor. Both parties have agreed that Exhibits 1 and 2 will be admitted into evidence by stipulation, and the defendant, Casey Moore, has waived his Fifth Amendment right to silence.
All right, thank you. Is there anything preliminary that the court should be aware of from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Will there be any videotaping or recording of this?
Yes, there will be a recording made by the state organization.
All right, and has that been stipulated to by the parties?
We have no objection, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then recording can proceed. Thank you. Is there anyone present that is not associated with the two teams that are presenting today? And that is other than family and friends observing?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. For all of the witnesses that are present, I need to swear you in. So for all of the witnesses, if you could please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you promise that the testimony you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the high school mock trial competition?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. The next thing that I would like to briefly address is courtroom decorum. For anyone who is not speaking, please keep your microphone muted, as we do have technical difficulties if your microphones are not muted. I will try to remember that myself. And if anyone forgets to unmute yourself, I will try and let you know. Please do that for me as well. You may drink water and coffee during these proceedings, but you may not eat anything in the courtroom. You are considered to be in the courtroom even though we are doing this virtually. Please observe social distancing and wearing your face coverings if you are in a room where you are not social distanced. As we are trying to do all of this to keep everyone safe virtually, I know everyone would prefer to do this in the courtroom if available, but otherwise, please make sure that you are being safe during these proceedings. If you have any objections during these proceedings, please direct them to the court and not to the other attorney. And I believe that is all I have for courtroom decorum. Does anyone have any questions that need to be addressed before we move on?
No, Your Honor.
One comment.
No, Your Honor.
Yes.
We learned that sometimes it's easy to miss an objection. So we had decided to allow you to wave your hand when you're making an objection, just so that it doesn't get overlooked by the court.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear all of that. Could you repeat that?
When an attorney makes an objection, sometimes it gets missed just because of the technical situation here in Zoom. So we're asking that they raise their hand so we get a visual cue that they're making an objection as well, even though that's not normally procedure.
Okay, so, and when you say raise a hand, you mean by Zoom or physically raise their hand?
Physically raise a hand.
All right, I will try and make sure that I am watching for that. If I do miss something, please someone bring that to my attention, but I will be watching for hands to be raised. Anything else that needs to be addressed before we proceed?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Does the state have an opening statement they would like to give?
We do, Your Honor.
All
Your
right.
Honor, my name is Jared Parker, and along with my co-counsel Maria Nava and Rebecca Paget, we represent the state of Wyoming. Casey Moore is charged with 2 crimes: criminally negligent homicide and involuntary manslaughter. But what this case is really about is greed. Casey Moore, his economic interests before those of the kids. Today, you will hear from 3 witnesses. Dr. Jamie Kildare will testify to the poor medical care and the cause of death for Derek Overstreet. Parker Nichols will talk about her observation and investigation into the ranch. And she will tell you that they fell below standards. She may even say they didn't have enough staff. She may even say they didn't have enough counselors at a therapy program. Mickey Espinoza will testify to the poor condition of the camp and how Casey Moore wasn't willing to spend any more money on the children. We ask you for a guilty verdict on either the involuntary manslaughter or the criminally negligent homicide charge in Derek Overstreet's death. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And does the defense have an opening statement they would like to give, or would they like to wait until their case in chief?
We would like to give an opening statement, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Tragedies are not crimes. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that is what you will learn today, that tragedies are not crimes. My client, Casey Moore, founded the CREATE program in 2010. The CREATE program is a wilderness therapy program, and she started it because she has always been in love with nature. She grew up with a passion for the outdoors and wanted to share it with struggling teenagers and to help them find their way again. She partnered with her longtime friend, Mickey Espinoza, and she bought a plot of land outside Carter City called the Wilderness Ranch, and together they started the CREATE program. Casey has always loved the outdoors and was inspired to share it with the teens who were looking for help. She wanted to teach these teens the importance of hard work and the joys of outdoor adventure without technology. Her program taught the kids how to rock climb, hike, trail ride, and other various survival skills. Casey also provided an outlet for these struggling teens to work through their troubles with a group therapy session. Casey did not have to start the wilderness therapy program, but she wanted to help make the teens' lives more meaningful and made every possible effort to enable them to learn as much as possible. Casey strove to provide the best possible care and resources to the kids attending her camp, and yet her greatest fear still came true. Every action was aimed at keeping these kids safe and to prevent a teenager from getting hurt, like Derek. Miss Moore is incredibly shocked and saddened by what happened to Derek and would give anything to bring him back. But tragic accidents are not crimes. The solo trek that happened at the end of the CREATE program was meant to teach the kids how to use their survival skills that they were taught in a real world situation. It was not required, and Casey made sure that the teens knew that they did not have to continue on the solo trek if they did not feel comfortable. All Casey wanted to do was to teach and care for these struggling teenagers who needed guidance in their life. The CREATE program was designed to inspire kids to find their purpose and to teach them valuable life lessons. It was designed to prevent tragedies. Today, the defense will present the facts of this tragic accident through 3 witnesses. First, you will hear from Casey Moore, who will testify to the preparation the kids were given during their stay at the Wilderness Ranch. He will explain she will explain how the solo trek functioned and how it taught the clients to rely upon themselves and put their stuff out. Next, you will hear from Cody Bender, the founder of the Wyoming Behavioral Education Center, about the benefits of wilderness therapy and what Casey Moore did to help so many troubled teens. And lastly, you will hear from Andy Swift, a fellow client in Derek's session. She will testify as to how the teens were taught survival skills, how they learned to correct past mistakes, and how much the CREATE program helped these struggling teens. Casey loved her job at the CREATE program, and she loved helping struggling teens. All she wanted to do was to make a positive impact on the teens attending her program. She did everything possible to keep these kids happy and safe. The death of Derek was a horribly tragic accident, but not a punishable crime. Therefore, we ask you to find our client, Casey Moore, not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the state have a witness to call?
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court, the prosecution would like to call Mickey Espinoza to the stand.
All right, Ms. Espinoza, you have been called to the stand. You have already been sworn in under oath, so you may proceed.
Can you please state your full name for the court?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Yes. Can you please state your full name for the court?
I am Mickey Espinoza.
What is your job, Mrs. Espinoza?
I am the program coordinator at the Wilderness Ranch in the CREATE program.
Do you have a college degree for this?
I do.
What college did you attend?
I attended Wyoming State University.
And what type of degree did you receive?
I have a bachelor's degree in outdoor education.
Well, when did you and Mr. Moore start the camp?
In 2010.
And who is in charge of making big decisions at this camp?
Casey Moore is.
Thank you. What was the purpose of the hike?
The purpose of the hike, according to
Objection, Your Honor. I'm going to object to foundation. We don't know anything about a hike yet, so if they could just lay more foundation so that we can follow this better.
Is there a response from the state on that objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the objection is sustained. However, if you do lay more foundation related to that, you may proceed to ask questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Espinoza, what were the things you guys did at this camp?
We did many things at the camp, including painting bunkhouses, building fences, basic physical training.
And what was the main attraction of the camp?
The main attraction was a solo expedition we sent the kids on towards the end of their stay.
How long was this solo expedition?
It was 2 days.
And what was the purpose of the solo expedition?
The purpose of the solo expedition was to build character in the children.
And what were the supplies given to these children?
We gave the children food, a map, and an empty water bottle
Why were these water bottles empty?
because there were planned out water sources on their solo expedition trail.
Thank you, Ms. Espinoza. Was it true that 2019 was a very dry year?
Yes, it was.
And with this, sorry, let me restate myself. You planned on the kids finding their own water?
We did, yes.
Were these kids given training for this?
Yes, they were given training.
Ms. Espinoza, who else was aware of it being a dry year?
Casey Moore was.
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of personal knowledge. While Espinoza may have been aware of this, she has no way of knowing if Casey Moore was or was not aware, so she cannot testify to that.
The attorney for the state, do you have a response to the objection?
Can you please restate that? You're kind of cutting out.
And I did have a little bit of difficulty hearing as well. Could you restate the objection?
Yeah, the objection was lack of personal knowledge. While Ms. Espinoza may have had knowledge of it being a dry year, she can't testify as to whether or not Casey Moore did.
And the attorney for the state, do you have a response?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Mrs. Espinoza was right-hand man of Mr. Moore at the camp. So and Mr. Moore was the owner, as she clearly stated. He ran it. So if she was to know about this, she would tell her boss or her superior.
And I had a little bit of difficulty hearing that. If you can ask some more questions related to that, the objection is overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Espinoza, who was your superior?
Casey Moore was.
Would you say Mr. Moore was the owner of the camp?
I would.
Thank you. Moving on. Sorry, let me restate myself. And with Mr. Moore being your superior, who gave approval of this hike?
Casey Moore did.
All right, thank you, Ms. Espinoza. The camp is a member of the WBEC guidelines, correct?
Yes.
And what was the goal of being a WBEC member?
In our camp, being a WBEC certified, it shows to parents and many alike that we are a credible camp.
How much did this cost?
$4,000, I believe.
All right, thank you. How many kids did you guys start the camp with?
13.
And how much was it for each kid to attend this camp?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm going to object to the relevance for this line of questioning. I don't see how much each family paid for the children to attend the camp is relevant.
Is there a response from the state?
No, Your Honor.
The objection is overruled. You may proceed.
All right, thank you.
And so you may answer the question.
Can you please restate the question?
I believe it was, how much, you said she can answer the question, Your Honor? All right.
Yes.
How much for each kid to attend the camp?
It was $4,000 per student, but $10,000 was paid to us.
And all this money added up to $130,000, correct?
Roughly, yes.
Moving on, you and Mr. Moore had money issues, correct?
Yes.
And with all this money you received from the campers for 1 month, where did it all go?
As far as I know, it all went to improving the camp and helping out the children.
Thank you. Moving on, what concerns, if any, do you have about the mental health of these teenagers?
Because we are a camp for adolescents that deal with substance abuse, depression, anxiety, I am very worried about the mental health.
Were you worried about anything, any other situations with these campers?
Yes, I was mostly concerned about Derek Overstreet's physical condition.
And why was this?
Because Derek Overstreet was not, he was a little bit overweight and he singled himself out from everyone, which also would have me worry about his mental health as well.
Were these campers given any training for their mental health issues?
Mental health, no.
And what about physical?
Physical health, yes. We had them do basic training beforehand before they go on the solo expedition.
And what is your opinion on the adequacy of this training?
I don't think the training was very adequate for the children at all.
Did you discuss this with Mr. Moore?
I did, but he seemed to brush it off and said it was fine.
Thank you. What is your belief on the kids' readiness to take the trip?
I don't think they were ready at all. We could have done a lot more preparation.
Did you share this with Mr. Moore as well?
Indeed, I did, but yet again, he just seemed to brush it off.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Is there cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Good afternoon, Ms. Espinoza.
Oh, hi.
You were the one that was initially blamed for the negligent death of Derek Overstreet, is this correct?
Yes.
And at the time you provided your written statement for the purposes of this trial, you were still angry, right?
Yes.
And on this record, you said that you did more than just the grunt work with the CREATE program, didn't you?
Correct.
So you were responsible for things like buying the supplies and hiring people, right?
Yes.
And planning the meals and arranging transportation?
That's correct.
And you also worked out the work schedules for all of the employees at the ranch, right?
Yes.
And you said in your written statement that you yourself took them out, like the kids, on hikes and other activities.
Yes.
All right. And you also mentioned in the direct examination that there was extreme heat during the August 2019 session, right?
Yes.
And you also said that Casey didn't do anything about this?
That's correct.
But was she actively involved in the day-to-day activities at the ranch?
No, Casey was more in charge of handling our finances.
Okay, so you were the one that was with them day-to-day?
That's correct.
Okay. And you were in charge of all the ranch activities pretty much?
Yes.
Okay. So you could have taken it upon yourself to go out and check for water?
I could have, yes.
Okay. Miss Espinoza, are you aware that children at the camp were encouraged to keep journals?
No.
You're not aware that the children at your own camp kept journals?
Oh, my apologies, yes.
Okay. And are you aware as to whether or not they kept them during the August 2019 session?
Yes.
Are you aware as to whether or not Derek Overstreet himself kept a journal?
I am, he did.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, may I show witness and opposing counsel a document for identification purposes?
Yes, go ahead.
Let the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel and witness Exhibit 4 for identification purposes. Are you able to pull that out?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Awesome. Can you please read the name that's on top of this journal for me?
The journal belongs to Derek Overstreet.
All right. Were you aware of this journal prior to today's trial?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit Exhibit 4, Derek Overstreet's journal, into evidence.
Is there an objection from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. Objection here, Smith.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Derek Overstreet has passed away, therefore he can't be present at trial today. And according to Rule 804A, this journal could be an exception to the hearsay objection because of that.
The objection is overruled. Exhibit 4 is received.
Okay. Ms. Espinoza, I'm going to ask you to refer to the August 16th journal entry, and I'll ask you to just read the first sentence of that paragraph out loud for the jury.
August 16th, 2019. I wish I wasn't fat.
And the second sentence, I apologize. I didn't see the period there.
The kids make fun of me.
And the third sentence.
The counselors tell the kids to stop bullying me, but they get mad when I need help getting on a horse and things like that.
Ms. Espinoza, since you've worked at the ranch for a while, could you tell us, in your opinion, whether or not Derek sounded ready to go based off of this journal entry?
He did not sound ready to go.
And referring back to the written statement that you said you provided, you mentioned the contents of Derek's journal as it pertains to the readiness of the solo?
Yes.
Okay. And as we just read, he indicated that he wasn't ready, right?
Correct.
But you sent him out in the solo?
It wasn't my final say, it was Casey's, but no.
Was Casey there day to day with the kids, or was that you?
That was me.
Okay. You said yourself that you know a lot about outdoor therapy, is this correct?
Yes.
And it would be devastating for a young person who is physically or mentally unprepared to go out on the solo trek?
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Does the state have redirect? And I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, I just realized that. That's my bad.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Espinoza, you got approval from Mr. Moore for everything you did at the camp, correct?
That's correct.
He had a final say on everything.
Yes.
And would you say it was his job to go and check the water sources since he's the owner?
That's correct.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Espinoza, is Ms. Espinoza under subpoena? And I'm sorry, Ms. Geller, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I had a brief recross, if that was allowed, Your Honor.
Very briefly, go ahead.
Okay, Ms. Espinoza, you said that it was Casey Moore's job to approve the stuff that you did, but did you not testify that he was the one in charge of finances and you were the one in charge of day-to-day activities?
I did say that, yes.
And you were also the one that was in charge of the kids' hikes and other activities?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is Ms. Espinoza under subpoena from the state?
I don't believe so.
All right.
Yes.
She is. May she be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Espinoza, your testimony is complete. Does the state have another witness to call?
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court, prosecution would like to call Parker Nichols to the stand.
All right. Parker Nichols, you have already been sworn in and are under oath. The state may proceed.
Could you please state your full name for the record?
Parker Nichols.
What is your profession?
I am the director of the Adolescent Development Institute based in Chicago.
Do you have any special education to do this job?
Yes, I do.
Could you please state that level of education?
Bachelor's.
In what field?
Child psychology.
Do you have any other education?
I do.
Could you please state that level of education?
Master's.
In what field?
Child psychology.
Do you have any other forms of education?
No.
Where did you get that education?
Wyoming State University.
Have you written any books or articles that have been published?
Yes, I have.
Under what subjects?
The psychology of young people ages 11 to 21.
How many of these books or articles have you published?
Several.
What other work or training experience do you have?
I am highly sought out to look at the different camps to see if they are fit.
Do you specialize in any kind of residential program?
I specialize in adventure programs.
Did you review the preparation of the Wilderness Ranch?
I did.
Mrs. Nichols, what did you review about the Wilderness Ranch's preparation?
I reviewed that they were taught to string up a poncho to make a shelter, light a fire using matches, and use a map using a compass.
What did you learn about the counseling at the Wilderness Ranch?
They didn't have nearly enough counselors.
Was the Wilderness Ranch understaffed?
Yes.
Going to our attendees, were they well rested?
No, they were not.
How were these attendees nutritionally?
Is there an objection? I saw a hand go up.
No, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Please repeat the question.
How were these attendees nutritionally?
Most of them are malnourished.
Objection.
Yes, I do see the hand. Go ahead.
I'm going to object to speculation, Your Honor. Ms. Nichols would not have personal knowledge as to how these kids were in their nutrition aspect, as she did not run the camp. She was not there every day.
Is there a response from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. This witness is, sorry, one moment. This witness is the director of Adolescent Developmental Institute. She specializes in professionalism and safety standards for programs like the Wilderness Ranch. She has every right to answer a question like this in court as it reviews how this ranch programmed worked.
Is Ms. Nichols testifying as an expert witness?
Yes, she is.
All right, the objection is overruled. You may answer.
Please repeat the question.
How are these attendees nutritionally?
Most of them are malnourished.
Were these actions substantial?
No, they were not.
In regards to therapy, what did the attendees do?
They went to support groups and they had counseling every night.
How did the kids start their final 2 days at the camp?
With varying amounts of sleep, most of them were malnourished and dehydrated.
Would have this been substantial preparation for these kids?
Is there an objection?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm going to object to assuming facts not in evidence, as there's no proof that these kids were ever malnourished.
From the state, is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Once again, this witness was reviewing the Wilderness Ranch and their conditions there. This is something that she reviewed and testified through her affidavit.
The objection is overruled. You may answer.
Please restate the question.
How did the kids start their final 2 days at the camp?
With varying amounts of sleep, some of them were malnourished, and dehydrated.
Would have this been a substantial preparation for these kids?
No.
What can a solo trek do to a person?
It can create fear, insecurity, and generally anxiety, stuff like that.
For these attendees' therapy, were they provided with journals they could write in throughout their stay at the camp?
Yes, they were.
Do you rely upon these journals to evaluate the conditions of the Wilderness Ranch?
Yes, I do.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness to identify an exhibit?
Yes. And if you didn't hear, that was a yes.
Okay, thank you. Let the record reflect that I have shown opposing counsel Exhibit 4. Counsel. Mrs. Nichols, what have I placed before you?
Derek Overstreet's journal.
Have you reviewed Derek Overstreet's journal?
Yes, I have.
Would you please read the entry from August 28th?
The entire one?
Yes, please.
They are telling us to write a little bit before we set off on our solos. Here it is. My backpack has matches, a pocket knife, poncho, twine, compass, and one small water bottle that I will fill at the springs marked on the map. Some trail mix, peanuts, and dried fruit. I will write again at night when I stop. I feel there's a kid named There's a kid named Andy in my counseling circle who knows what he wants and has people here called insights. I'd like to be more like him. I think I'm going to be a lot smarter about the kids I hang out with when I get back home.
Would you also please read the entry from August 29th?
I couldn't write this morning. I just got up and started walking before the sun got too high. Now I cannot even stand anymore. I don't know what time it is, but the sun is so high. It's so about noon. I heard my mom this morning after I got up telling me she believes in me. Hallucination, I guess, but it was nice. I'm so weak, headache. I'm walking around in circles. I can't find the trail anymore. I think I fell and passed out. Woke up here next to a rock. I'm dying. I think I hear Mickey calling for me. I'll stay here and wait for him. But I'm good.
What did you learn from Derek Overstreet's final entries?
I learned that he wanted to keep going. He wasn't ready to quit. He felt that he had something to prove.
What conclusion have you reached about the conditions of the Wilderness Ranch?
They were not substantially, they were not preparing these kids correctly to go on these solo hikes.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right, is there cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Ms. Nichols, you have never visited the CREATE program, have you?
No, I have not.
And you have never talked to Casey Moore?
No.
And you stated that the CREATE program was missing half their number of counselors, correct?
Correct.
And isn't it true that the industry standards for the CREATE program is that they must have one counselor for every 5 clients, meaning that the CREATE program only needed 3 counselors?
Correct.
And you also mentioned several times that these kids were malnourished. Did you say this in your affidavit?
I believe so.
May I direct you to line 94 of your affidavit? You said that the food seems to have been of acceptable quality and nutrition. Does this sound like malnutrition to you?
There's an objection.
Your Honor, she did not provide the affidavit.
I'm sorry, has the affidavit not been given to the witness?
No.
May I ask for the rules of competition? Or she should have the rules, excuse me, she should have the rules of competitions. She should also have her affidavit with her.
And does the state have a response to that?
No, Your Honor, I'll withdraw my objection.
All right. The objection has been withdrawn. You may proceed.
May I restate my question?
Yes, please.
Ms. Nichols, are you aware of signing an affidavit?
Yes, I am.
And did you ever say in this affidavit that the kids were malnourished?
I am not sure.
May I direct you to line 94 of your affidavit where you say that the food seems to have been of acceptable quality and nutrition? Does this sound like malnutrition to you?
No.
I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Is there redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
May I first start by asking Mrs. Nichols, are you provided with your affidavit? Have you signed and released one?
Yes.
May I approach the witness with her affidavit?
Yes.
Now, in your affidavit, Ms. Nichols, you did mention, give me one moment to look through here. All right, can I direct you to lines 119 and 120? You state here that the kids started the final 2 days with varying amounts of sleep the night before and varying amounts of hydration and nutrition.
Is there an objection?
Not this time, Your Honor. I apologize.
Okay, go ahead.
With varying amounts of hydration and nutrition. You also state in 121 they are not supposed to be alone for anything. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
You also
Is
state
there now an objection?
Yes, Your Honor. I object to beyond the scope of line 121 when it says they were not used to be alone for anything. I did not mention this in my cross, therefore is beyond the scope. And I move to strike it from the record.
From the state, is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Rule 803.3, then existing mental, emotional, and physical conditions of the declarant. This statement here speaks to all of these things and is not therefore excluded from this rule.
Yes. Is there a reply to that?
Yes, Your Honor. This is still beyond the scope. I made no mention of this in my cross.
All right. I believe that the defense has opened the door to questioning related to the affidavit, so the objection is overruled. You may proceed.
All right. Were the statements that I just provided to you correct, Ms. Nichols?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right. Is Ms. Nichols under subpoena? Ms. Nichols, you may be excused.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're under subpoena or not. If you are released from your subpoena.
Thank you.
Does the state have another witness to call?
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Dr. Jamie Kildare to the stand.
Dr. Kildare, you have already been sworn in and are under oath. The state may proceed.
Please state your full name for the court.
My name is Dr. Jamie Kildare.
What is your profession, Dr. Kildare?
Sorry, can you restate the question?
What is your profession, Dr. Kildare?
I'm a doctor.
What is your practice, Dr. Kildare?
I have a family practice in Carter City.
Have you worked anywhere else, Dr. Kildare?
Yes, I worked at the Wilderness Ranch.
How long did you work at the Wilderness Ranch?
For about 5 years.
What did you do while you worked at the Wilderness Ranch?
I basically just dealt with generalized injuries, broken bones, dehydration, sunburns, the occasional concussion.
Where'd you get your medical degree, Dr. Kildare?
From the University of Washington.
What is your specialty, Dr. Kildare?
I have a specialty in sports medicine.
Do you have any other specialties or certifications?
I am board certified by the American Board of Family Medicine.
Were you terminated from the Wilderness Ranch?
Yes, I was.
When you were terminated, who replaced you?
Dr. Moorcroft,
Where is Dr. Moorcroft located?
Carter City.
How far from the Wilderness Ranch is Carter City, Dr. Kildare?
About 25 miles.
What is the terrain like on those 25 miles?
For the first 10 miles of it, it's a very rugged dry dirt road.
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like to object to the lack of personal knowledge. Dr. Kildare was a physician at the ranch. She was not an expert in the terrain. Therefore, she cannot testify to the conditions between the ranch and Carter City.
Is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Kildare worked at the Wilderness Ranch for 5 years, as well as in Carter City for 25 years. So I would think that when the doctor travels from Carter City to the ranch, he would have to travel on that exact road, as well as having lived in the county for 25 years. She would have acute knowledge of the terrain.
Is there a reply to that?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the objection is overruled. You may proceed.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach the witness with Exhibit 2?
You may.
Let the record reflect that I have shown opposing counsel.
It does.
Dr. Kildare, what have I placed before you?
Derek Overstreet's lab reports.
Your Honor, I move to admit this exhibit into evidence by stipulation.
Is that correct? Has this been stipulated to?
Yes, it has. It was stipulated that Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2 would be admitted into evidence, Your Honor.
All right. It has been received.
Dr. Kildare, have you seen this document before?
Yes, I have.
What about this document jumps out to you?
Derek Overstreet tested high in many areas.
Could you tell us some of the areas he tested high in, Dr. Kildare?
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like to object to the foundation of this line of questioning. We don't know when these labs were taken, what they mean, and why they have anything to do with this case at all. I'd like to request that counsel lay a little bit more foundation about the nature of this document and what it means before we continue.
Their response from the state.
I withdraw my question, Your Honor.
All right, the question has been withdrawn. You may proceed.
Dr. Kildare, did you have this lab ordered on Derek Overstreet?
Yes, I did.
And did your lab conduct this lab report on Derek Overstreet?
Yes.
So what about the lab report jumps out to you, Dr. Kildare?
He tested high in many areas.
Could you tell us what areas he tested high in?
Specifically sodium, potassium, chloride, glucose, BUN, and creatinine.
Dr. Kildare, does Derek Overstreet have any medical conditions?
Yes, he had prediabetes.
So what role does glucose play in Derek Overstreet's death?
If glucose gets too high or too low for a person with prediabetes, it can be fatal or very dangerous for them.
Is there anything this can cause, any disorders this can cause?
This can also complicate heat stroke and dehydration.
What is the process of heat stroke, Dr. Kildare?
First, it starts out with cramps, specifically in the muscles and the abdomen. It can also have nausea and vomiting and a heavy sweat or a lack of sweat. It then leads to neurological symptoms such as hallucinations and delusions.
In your medical opinion, was Derek Overstreet suffering from heat stroke?
I believe so, yes.
What leads you to believe that he was suffering from heat stroke?
Specifically his journals.
What in his journals leads you to believe that he is suffering from heat stroke?
I reviewed them and I saw that he said he was having hallucinations of his mother being there, and also he said that he didn't have enough water.
How many kids were brought into the hospital with Derek Overstreet?
I believe 3.
And how many survived?
Well, including Derek, there were 3. The other 2 survived, and unfortunately Derek passed.
What was the medical condition of the 2 that survived, Ms. Kildare, Dr. Kildare?
They seemed perfectly healthy to me.
Derek Overstreet, what killed Derek Overstreet, Dr. Kildare?
The dehydration and heat stroke.
If Derek Overstreet was not pre-diabetic, would that change your diagnostic?
Yes.
What would it change it to?
If he weren't pre-diabetic, I don't believe he would have died.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Is there cross-examination?
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, Dr. Kildare.
Good afternoon.
Now, you were fired from the Wilderness Ranch in 2018, is that correct?
Unfortunately.
And you were replaced by another licensed physician who operated out of Carter City, is that right?
Yeah.
And about your time at Wilderness Ranch, when you worked there, you would still have to bring the occasional kid into town, is that correct?
Yes, to get more testing or whatever needed done, yeah.
Now, today you've testified that you saw a lot of general treatments at the ranch, broken bones, sunburn, concussions. None of these injuries are severe, are they?
No, not for the most part.
And when you worked at Wilderness Ranch, you expressed concerns about the solo trek, is that correct?
Yes.
Specifically, you were concerned about dehydration, is that right?
Yes.
But through your years of experience at the Wilderness Ranch, Dr. Kildare, you're aware that one of the main facets of the ranch, their big mentality, is self-reliance, is that right?
Yes, I suppose.
And these kids also had access to tools to help themselves, such as the rescue phones provided on the solo trek, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you treated 3 clients from the CREATE program on August 29th, 2019, is that right?
Yes.
And one of these clients was Derek Overstreet?
Yes.
And you determined that Derek Overstreet passed away from heat stroke, is that right?
Yes.
Now, doctor, it's possible to get dehydration if you don't have diabetes, is that right?
Well, yeah, obviously.
And so you've testified that you don't think Derek would have had dehydration at all if it weren't for his diabetes?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, can you explain a little further then?
Derek Overstreet's pre-diabetic condition complicated his dehydration and heat stroke. When you have prediabetes with heat stroke and dehydration, you're at a more high risk for it.
But people that don't have prediabetes can still suffer from dehydration.
Correct.
Okay. As was the case with the other 2 clients admitted into the hospital that you treated on that day, right?
Yes.
Yet you stated in your testimony that we just bore witness to, word for word, that these other 2 clients were perfectly healthy. Is that correct?
They didn't have any other underlying conditions such as prediabetes.
I'm sorry, Dr. Kildare, did you or did you not state that these clients were perfectly healthy?
I stated they did not have any other underlying conditions.
You stated that they were perfectly healthy upon their admission, correct?
In
In your direct examination.
Objection, Your Honor. Facts not in evidence.
Is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. All of us here just bore witness to the direct examination of Dr. Kildare, in which she stated, word for word, perfectly healthy concerning the clients, aside from Derek Overstreet, admitted to the hospital.
Is there a reply to that?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the objection is overruled. You may proceed.
So, Dr. Kildare, you did state these other 2 clients were perfectly healthy, correct?
When they were admitted into the hospital, no, but they also did not have any other underlying conditions. Sorry, I misunderstood the question.
So that's a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And they've completely recovered, correct?
As far as I know.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kildare. No further questions, Your Honor.
Is there any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Dr. Kildare, how long has Dr. Moorcroft been practicing?
He was retired.
Dr. Kildare, does prediabetes make one more or less susceptible to heat stroke?
More.
Did the 2 healthy individuals that were not pre-diabetic survive the ordeal?
Yes, as far as I know.
Did the pre-diabetic who Casey Moore knew about die?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Is Dr. Kildare under subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
May Dr. Kildare be released from her subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Dr. Kildare, you are released from your subpoena and you are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are there any other witnesses for the state?
No, Your Honor.
Are there any motions by the state? I will take that as a no. Does the state rest?
We do, Your Honor.
Does the defense have any witnesses to call?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls their first witness, Casey Moore, to the stand.
All right, Ms. Moore, you have already been sworn in under oath.
Yes,
The
Your
defense
Honor.
may proceed.
Can you please state your name for the court?
My name is Casey Moore.
And could you please tell the jury what you do for a living?
I am the founder and creator of the CREATE program at Wilderness Ranch in Carter City, Wyoming.
And what educational background prepared you for this job?
I have a degree from Wyoming State University in wilderness therapy. And yeah, that's my education.
And did you have any other education about wilderness therapy outside of college?
Not formal education, but I have done a lot of extensive research on it. That's kind of how I became interested with it in the first place. Reading magazines, attending seminars, that's kind of what inspired me to start CREATE in the first place.
Could you go into more detail about what inspired you to start the CREATE program?
Yeah, so right after college, I read a magazine that had an article written by Dr. Cody Bender in it, and it was really inspirational to me. I just thought, what better way could I be outdoors like I enjoy and also help children? Because at the end of the day, that's the sole reason I do this. I really like helping kids, and the environment I get to do it in is just a massive bonus. So.
And what does the CREATE program teach the teens that attend?
Well, the kids who are sent to us have been sent or have gone down a bad path in life, and they just needed a little help in an environment that didn't have the bad influences they had. So we help them through therapy programs as well as recovery from any drug addictions or alcohol problems. And we also use nature to help them become better.
And could you please tell us what happens at the end of your camp?
Yeah, the kind of keynote in our camp is the solo trek, where kids go out for 2 days by themselves to be one with nature and really focus on self-reliance, and yeah, just to have time to themselves.
And is this solo trek required?
Absolutely not. This is something that, unless you're fully prepared for it, it's not necessarily the best thing, but we also trust these young adults to tell us whether or not they're fully prepared for it. They have every opportunity prior to leaving on the trek to tell us they don't want to go, as well as on the trek they have options to back out if they go and seem like they can't handle it. But the point in the camp is kind of leading up to the solo trek in preparation to help them prepare for it so they can do it successfully, because that's what we like to see happen.
And were the kids given anything before the start of the solo trek?
They're given plenty of instruction on what to do, as well as far as supplies concerns. They have a map, a water bottle, and some trail mix, and a tapestry, or like a shelter. Sorry, I can't think of the word, poncho type thing, as well. And we feel like that adequately prepares them. We also teach them how to use these materials, as well as what to do if they feel like they can't handle it.
Your Honor, may I approach or may I show the witness and opposing counsel Exhibit 3?
You may.
This is the exhibit that I will be showing. Ms. Moore, can you please identify the document that I have shown you?
It looks like there's an objection from the state.
Yes, Your Honor. Objection hearsay. This document was not entered in.
I couldn't hear that. Could you repeat that?
Sorry. Objection hearsay. This document was not entered in further hand.
Is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. I am merely laying foundation before I ask to admit into evidence.
The objection is overruled. Go ahead.
Ms. Moore, can you identify the document that I have just shown you?
This is the map that we used to teach the kids at the camp to read maps, as well as what they're given before they leave the solo. And it shows them where the roads are, where the water is, and the rescue phones.
And Ms. Moore, how many rescue phones are shown on this map?
There's 7 that we have evenly spaced out. And so from pretty much any point on the plot of land where we had the solo trek, you can reach one.
And were the kids taught how to use this map?
Absolutely. That's, we don't want to just send them out there blind. That would completely defeat the purpose of the camp. We want them to feel safe so they can accurately have the moments they need with themselves.
Your Honor, may I move to admit Exhibit 3 into evidence?
Is there any objection from the state? Exhibit 3 is received.
Continuing on, Ms. Moore, did you hire Mickey Espinoza?
Absolutely. I wish she could, I wish she could have been my full partner, but unfortunately she was financially not as stable as I was. But in my eyes, she was my equal partner.
And what was her job?
Her job, she definitely kind of got the more lucky part of the thing. She got to hang out with the kids more. She was the one who trained them for the solo expedition, did all the day-to-day activities. She got to hang out with them more, which I'm kind of jealous of. I got the boring financial stuff and all that. But I mean, I still loved the camp and I loved the kids, but she was the one who had to train them and was with them more.
And why did you hire her?
Well, to be quite honest, Mickey was always a bit smarter than I was. In school, she definitely did a lot better. And she was my best friend. I fully trusted her to do this with me. She had the same passion for it as I did. And yeah.
And did you value Mickey's advice and opinions when making decisions at the CREATE program?
Oh, absolutely. That's precisely the reason that she was there with me. Again, she would have been a full partner if she had been able to help me with the, oh gosh, I can't think of the word now, but help me with the prices of getting the wilderness ranch so we could have our CREATE program on it. But if she came to me with anything, I'd listen to her fully. She was, like I said, I thought she was smarter than I was.
Moving on, could you please describe to us what happened on August 29th, 2019?
Yeah, that was the day Derek Overstreet passed away. Quite frankly, my worst nightmare. But so that day was the last day of the solo trek. Everything had gone smoothly. The kids who didn't want to stay didn't stay. The kids who were still out there were still out there. And then a bit later, 3 kids to be exact, didn't come back to where we wanted to meet them. So we went out looking for them, where we found them all, including Derek Overstreet, in pretty rough condition. So we rushed to the hospital that was in Carter City as quickly as we could. I wish we could have gotten there in light speed, but and that's where Derek passed away. Luckily, the other 2 kids were fine, but it's something that I have to live with every day, because at the end, all I wanted to do was help him. That's all I wanted more than anything.
And how did Derek's tragic death make you feel?
God awful. Like, I precisely went into this to make.
Is there an objection? I'm sorry, there was a technical glitch. Could you repeat that?
Objection, facts that are not evidence. This is a feeling, this is not stated in her affidavit as well.
Is there a response from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. This is present sense impression.
And is there a reply?
Again, not, oh, sorry, my camera turned off. Again, not in the affidavit she had received and placed in the court.
The objection is overruled. You may answer.
My feelings regarding Derek's death, yes, that was the question.
That is correct.
As I was saying, it was my worst nightmare. I precisely went into this to help children. That's always the end goal. And I've been so lucky to have helped hundreds of kids in my 10 years doing this program. And the fact that I lost one is not past me. And it, again, I don't know if I could stress it enough. It was my worst nightmare. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. No further questions, Your Honor.
Is there any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Mrs. Moore, you did attend Wyoming State University, correct?
Yeah.
Is this where you decided to start the camp?
You know, I never had the exact job I wanted in mind. I always loved the outdoors though, and I thought this career would be precisely everything I wanted.
You did attend a WBEC seminar as well to start the camp.
Yes, I did.
And at this they taught you a couple of main ideas and keys to run this camp, correct?
Yeah, I actually see Cody Bender as quite a, I don't know, is a deity too strong of a word maybe, but I value her opinion a lot. And I think she's a very smart woman who has inspired me to do this camp precisely.
Would you say one of these main ideas was to make profit?
I mean, that's what a job is. I wish I could do it for free, but frankly, that's not how life works.
Thank you. All right. When did you start this camp?
2010.
How many kids attended the camp?
In my entire 10 years, I'm not sure, but a lot.
And how many kids attended the camp in 2019?
13, I believe.
Was this the same amount of kids that went on the hike?
No, we had a couple kids prior decide to not do it, which is more than okay with us. We want them to be comfortable more than anything. And then we had a kid who went and decided it was not for her, and she decided to call us, and we picked her up.
Now with this, 13 kids attended the camp in total, and you also charge a fee to get into the camp as well, correct?
Yes, as I said, I wish I could do it for free, but I can't. It's frankly, I need to make money to live. So we do charge, but it's because we have to. That's how like the economy works.
And you would say it was around $130,000 that it all combined it up to, correct, for 1 month?
I'm not sure off the top of my head exactly. I also feel like it's a bit taboo to share how much I make, but I wouldn't be far off.
Okay, thank you. And you also claimed that you were having money problems?
You know, a couple hiccups here and there, I guess.
Is there an objection?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm objecting to relevance. What does the amount of money that Casey charged for the kids to attend have to do with the tragic death of Derek Overstreet?
Is there a response from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. The factor of money has to do with the untimely death of Mr. Overstreet is the treatment of the kids. May I elaborate?
Yes, go ahead.
With this, I mean, such as they terminated Mrs. Kildare, Dr. Kildare, sorry, due to money problems, she claimed. And with this, they were not able to have a correct doctor so close to them. The nearest doctor was 20 miles away.
Is there a reply?
Yes, Your Honor. All due respect, we don't know the reason while Casey let Dr. Kildare go, therefore still not relevant.
I think that can be explored in the questioning. The objection is overruled. You may answer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can you repeat the question?
No problem. Oh my God. I'm sorry. What was the question again? You also got around $130,000 for 1 month, correct?
Yes, a guess around there. I'm not sure the exact number, but had nothing to do with how I ran my business.
And you also claimed you were having money problems?
Nothing massive. We had a couple hiccups. We were getting a little too close for comfort, I guess, but it happens when you run a business, especially for as long as I have.
You also had kids doing chores around the camp, such as painting fences and I think also painting the bunkhouses.
I mean, these kids weren't used to this kind of work, and that was part of the camp. We wanted to help shape them up a little bit, put them through stuff they haven't been through. And, you know, these are things that as an adult, sometimes you have to do. And we thought that that could be very helpful to them, seeing as though a lot of these were city kids who are not used to this.
So is this a yes or no, ma'am?
Yes, I believe I said that.
Thank you. With these money issues as well, would you, sorry, let me rephrase myself. Would you say this is one of the reasons why you couldn't afford a salary for Dr. Kildare?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm confused by your question.
So with these money issues that you claimed you had, is this one of the reasons that you couldn't afford to have Dr. Kildare anymore?
Well, frankly, it just seemed as though at the time it was a better decision. Dr. Edmore Croft, I had heard around town that he was looking to partially come out of retirement, and we were having these money issues, and he was a bit cheaper. I mean, he's a doctor still, and the quality of care was not down by any means, but it just made more sense to us financially. And Dr. Kildare is a great person. I would never want to disrespect her or what she's done for my camp. She did work for me for 5 years and she did an excellent job. It was just financially, it made more sense.
So you would say it was much cheaper keeping the other doctor than Dr. Kildare, correct?
I don't know if I like using the word cheaper when it comes to how the medical care for my children, or my children who come to my camp, but financially it did make more sense to us.
Thank you. Moving on from that, did you know it was a dry year in 2019?
I mean, I was there.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness to identify an exhibit?
You may.
Let the record reflect I am showing counsel exhibit 1.
I'm sorry, can you show that on the camera again?
No problem.
That looked, is that exhibit 3?
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
not exhibit 1. Exhibit 3.
Okay,
My bad.
I got it.
An exhibit 3 has already been placed into evidence, correct?
I don't know if it has been received. Was it
Your
received?
Honor, this has been received into evidence. I admitted it in my direct examination.
Okay, thank you. I didn't make a note. So it has been received. Go ahead.
So as we can see on the map I have placed in front of you, we see the water lines, correct?
Yes.
Now these water lines, these children were supposed to follow the path.
I'm sorry, yeah, it glitched a little bit. Can you please restate that?
No problem. With these water lines, the children were supposed to follow the path of the water lines, correct?
Not necessarily. That just showed them where the water was that they could find. They were allowed to go anywhere in this proximity that they wanted to. It wasn't like if there had been a path, they all would have been together, and that's not really the point.
Thank you. And there's also there's also places where the cell phones were placed, correct?
Yes.
And would you encourage the kids to go that way to call out?
I'm sorry, it glitched again. Can you repeat that?
No problem. Wouldn't you encourage the kids to follow that line where the cell phones are to call out?
I'm not sure what you mean by the lines. They weren't drawn out on the path. This is merely a map, but the phones were there for them to use if they needed to, and they could find whichever one they were closest to call us, and we'd be there as soon as we could.
And then why weren't these phones spread out more? They were only on one side of the map.
Well, frankly, this part of the map is closest to the road. So when they called us, they would be right there for us. Yeah, I mean, looking at it now, it's not the brightest idea, but again, this is more Mickey's area of planning stuff, so.
And didn't you give the stamp of approval for Mickey to put this?
I trusted Mickey day to day. I didn't need to be breathing down her neck with telling her everything. Again, she is a smart woman and I fully trusted her. So I'm not sure if I blatantly gave her the okay to put all the phones on one side of the map.
But weren't you the decision maker? You were the final decision maker.
Yes, but where the phones were placed on the solo trek wasn't necessarily a massive decision. I'm more make the big decisions. This obviously up until this year was a pretty minor detail in the grand scheme of everything.
Would the cell phones not being placed all around not be a big decision for the kids to call in?
I mean, we had never had a problem until this year. And I wish I could go back and change it, and I will in the future. Don't forget that, but it was never an issue.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna go back to the money issues we were having. You collect around $10,000 for every kid. $6,000 each was going to profit. Am I correct?
Is there an objection?
Yes, Your Honor. This has been asked and answered already, and we already know how much Casey Moore's CREATE program took in from these kids.
Is there a response?
I never asked how much it was the profit and how much it was to attend. I simply said it was a certain amount of money for every kid.
Reply?
Yes, Your Honor. All due respect, the amount of money that Casey Moore's CREATE program charged and how much they took in annually has been discussed many times.
I believe it was discussed by the defense, but not by the state, so the objection is overruled. You may answer.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Is there any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, but may I have a moment?
You may.
Ms. Moore, could you please tell us why you placed rescue phones on the solo trek course?
We put the phones out there to give children, it's a bit echoey. Can you turn your mic off? Sorry. Can you, oh, maybe, sorry. I placed phones on the solo trek in order to give children the opportunity, if they wanted to try it out and then saw that it wasn't something they felt like they could do, that they could call us and we would be there to help them.
And were the location of these rescue phones placed on the map?
Yes.
And were they evenly spaced?
Yes, that was quite intentional. So from pretty much anywhere, you were the same amount of distance from a phone.
And could you please tell us, were you there for the day-to-day operations of the program?
No, that was definitely something I trusted more with Mickey. I definitely wish I could have been, because it's a lot more fun than the books and whatever, but that was definitely more Mickey's job to be there and to help prepare the kids for the solo adventure.
And who handled the financial part of the CREATE program?
Like I said, me, I wish I could have been out there, but it was just, since my name was in bold, I guess, I had to do the money stuff.
And could you please tell us how important the amount of money you earned was?
I mean, I needed enough to survive, but I wish I could have done it for free. Frankly, that's not possible, but we needed enough money to keep the camp going, to keep the kids safe, to help give what they needed while they were there, and anything else, like basic necessities for life for me and my staff.
Thank you, Casey. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, and is Ms. Moore under subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
May she be released from her subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't think you can answer that, but I'm not.
Sorry.
Yes,
That's
Your
okay.
Honor.
You may be released from your subpoena and you're free to go. Does the defense have another witness to call?
The defense calls Cody Bender to the stand.
All right. Ms. Bender, you are already under oath and may proceed.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bender.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you do for a living?
Well, I work in outdoor therapy. I own a company which I founded in 2002 called the Wyoming Behavioral Education Center. We set standards for outdoor therapy programs and we help them run the camps.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the purpose of this Wyoming Behavioral Education Center?
Absolutely. Like I said, we set the standards. We want to make sure that the outdoor therapy programs are, to the best of their abilities, helping the children that are attending them and keeping them safe.
Now, you mentioned these standards that you set. Did the CREATE program also meet these standards in the field of therapy or wilderness therapy?
Yes, they did. They had our seal of accreditation, and I think they ran the camp very well.
Now, Dr. Bender, can you tell me a little bit about your educational background?
Yes, I first attended Wyoming State University. I have a bachelor's degree in outdoor therapy from there and a master's in psychology. Then I have a PhD from Idaho Wilderness University, and then also another master's in business admin from WSU.
Do you have any other experiences in all these fields?
Yes, I wrote a doctoral thesis on outdoor adventure programming, how it's therapeutic to teenagers, young adults, and I have published numerous articles and also peer-reviewed articles for different magazines.
And Dr. Bender, was the CREATE program a member of the Wyoming Behavioral Education Center?
Yes, Casey Moore and Mickey Espinoza have actually attended many of our seminars that we held, which I personally hosted a bunch of them.
Now, in your expert opinion, do wilderness therapy programs typically benefit the at-risk teens who visit them?
Is there an objection?
Objection, Your Honor, foundation.
Is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. I've laid adequate foundation to both the education of Cody Bender as well as her years of experience in these fields.
Could you repeat the question for me?
In your expert opinion, do wilderness programs typically help the teens who benefit or attend them?
And is there a reply to that from the state?
Yes,
I'm
Your
sorry?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor. The witness has testified that she ran a few seminars, and she has also testified that she had an education, but nowhere does it say she is an expert.
And
May I respond, Your Honor?
you may.
Cody Bender is in the stipulation. She is an expert witness. This is predetermined.
Has
Yes,
that
but
been
you have no
stipulated
foundation.
too?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry. For the state, has this expert witness been stipulated to be received as an expert witness?
I don't think this is the right one. Is it yes or no?
And I'm sorry, you are muted if you are trying to talk to me. I'm not sure if you're trying to talk to me or others in the room.
Me,
Sorry.
Your Honor? Oh, okay. Sorry, my
No,
bad.
Mr. Parker.
Cody Bender is labeled that he may testify about standards applicable to programs such as the Wilderness Ranch, but it does not say he is an expert.
Is there a request to qualify as an expert, Ms. Burns?
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Your Honor. Yes, I would like to respond to this. Again, I believe the original objection was for foundation, which again, I mentioned I laid, and counsel described that I laid the experience in the seminars, which I most certainly did. We talked about Cody Bender's educational background, which includes not only her years in colleges, but also her PhD from Idaho Wilderness University, as well as her experience working for peer-reviewed, as well as, no, it's Jamie and Parker, as well as her other additional experiences, such as the peer-reviewed. So I believe that's more than sufficient foundation to qualify Cody Bender to have the experience to answer this question.
All right, so I think we have two objections at this point. One of the objections was foundation. The objection to foundation is overruled. And, while it may not have been exactly as an objection, it was related to an expert witness testifying as to their opinion. If I'm understanding you correctly, Ms. Burns, you are requesting that Dr. Bender be qualified as an expert. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, then Dr. Bender is qualified as an expert witness and may testify in that regard.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll repeat the question for you, Dr. Bender. In your expert opinion, do wilderness programs, such as the CREATE program, generally benefit the at-risk teens who attend them?
Yes, absolutely. Especially being in a wilderness setting, I think that the people who are attending them can unwind. They're not distracted from the problems that they had, back home.
All right, and additionally, in your expert opinion, Did the CREATE program do a good job of caring for its clients?
Oh, absolutely. I've looked into their operations many times, and those teens were really well cared for.
What evidence is there to support this claim?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Of course, Dr. Kildare. What evidence is there to support this claim?
Yes, we sent out a kind of, we interviewed the kids from there. We interviewed them, the past clients, them and their families. We asked them whether or not CREATE had a positive impact on their lives, and about 70% of them said that yes, it did in fact. So I think that's pretty successful.
Now, Dr. Bender, is the CREATE program the only wilderness therapy program that is a member of the WBEC?
No, we have a few other programs too.
Do you have experience reviewing and interacting with these other programs as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So, in your expert opinion, did Casey neglect to do anything typical of all the other wilderness therapy programs at CREATE in 2019?
No.
And lastly, Dr. Bender, can you give us your expert opinion on the death of Derek Overstreet?
Yes, I mean, it was tragic, really. Obviously, a kid dying is sad, but it was just an unfortunate accident. The water resources that had been there for years had dried up, and Derek, he honestly just didn't utilize the resources he had. He didn't follow instructions to hydrate before the camp. He didn't use the rescue phones that he had access to, and while it's sad, those events don't add up to homicide.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. No further questions, Your Honor.
Is there any cross-examination?
Honor. Is it true that the CREAT program received an accommodation from WBEC?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question again?
Is it true that the CREAT program received accommodation from the WBEC?
Yes, that's true.
Is it true that in 2002 you founded the WBEC?
Yes, that's true.
Is it true you were also on the board of advisors of the CREAT program?
Yes, I just wanted to do anything to make sure that the kids were safe in their care.
Is it true that you were paid $50,000 a year as an advisor to the CREAT program?
Objection, Your Honor, to the relevance of this question. I don't really see how much Dr. Cody Bender makes affects her expertise in this field.
Is there a response from the state?
Your Honor, Cody Bender founded WBEC and also works for CREAT. The fact that she is paid $50,000 a year plus other questions I will be getting to shows the bias of this witness.
Is there a reply?
Again, yes. How much money she makes, again, has nothing to do with her experience and her knowledge of this field. She can still testify to the standards they've set, and her salary has nothing to do with that.
No, her salary doesn't. The fact that she is paid does.
All right. The objection is overruled. You may proceed. Answer the question.
Okay. Yes, it's true that I was paid, but it doesn't mean that I didn't absolutely love working with CREATE and, helping them to help their kids.
$50
I'm not sure if I'm the only one that had that issue, but Mr. Parker, there was a glitch in the audio, and it sounded like you were trying to say something. If you were, could you repeat that?
No, Your Honor, I was not trying to say anything.
Okay. Then I'm not sure if Dr. Bender was finished answering the question. If you are not, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Have we moved on to the next question, or should I re-answer the last one?
You can re-answer the last one.
Okay. About being paid, yes, it's true that I did receive money from CREATE every year, but I still loved working with them, and I wanted to do everything to help them, help the kids that were attending there.
Is it true that you helped the CREAT program defend against legal claims in court?
Yes.
Isn't it also true that some adventure programs do this sort of training in something less than wilderness?
I mean, yes, it's true, but my company mostly focuses on the ones that are specifically in outdoors, and I think that's the best setting for the therapy programs.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Is there any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And is Dr. Bender subpoenaed?
Yes, Your Honor.
May Dr. Bender be released from her subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
Dr. Bender, you are released and you are free to leave. Are there other witnesses to call by the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls witness Andy Swift to the stand.
Ms. Swift, you have already been sworn in, and so the defense may proceed.
Good morning. Afternoon, Ms. Swift.
Good afternoon.
Can you start off by telling us why you were at the ranch during the August 2019 session?
Well, I can just say that I was a little bit of a troubled kid, so I got into a little bit of trouble back home, and so my parents and the lawyer and the judge sent me to the camp.
And why were you sent to the ranch rather than being sent somewhere else?
Well, let's just say my parents got a really good lawyer, in my opinion, and he was able to convince the judge that I just needed to grow up and be a better kid, and I was able to go to the camp instead of like juvie or something much worse.
And did you think the time that you spent at the ranch helped you?
Definitely. I used to not do a lot of things back home. I was really lazy. I get into trouble all the time. I'd skip school, and I really never had like a set plan for my future. And after I went there, I was able to come out as a better person.
That's good to hear. What was the most beneficial part of your time at the ranch to you?
I feel like the fact that they disconnected us from like all the technology that has come present to this world, and we were able just to focus on ourselves and be more mature, do chores and everything, helped us really to connect with ourselves and find ourselves.
What were some of the things that you did day to day at the ranch?
Well, we had some chores. We'd wash dishes. We'd paint some things. We'd go rock climbing. We'd have at the end of the day, we'd always have like these group session type things where we'd talk about our problems sometimes, but we'd mostly prepare for the solo trek.
And did you benefit from doing daily tasks like these?
Yes, a lot. Like I said, I was really lazy and I'd never do anything at home. My parents would always get mad because I'd always be on my phone and Instagram and all that stuff. But then after that, I was able to set a purpose, do more around the house, and be a healthier version of myself.
All right, moving on now. Did you know Derek Overstreet?
Yes, we were in the same session, and we went on the solo trek together.
What was your first reaction whenever you set out on the solo trek?
To be honest, I was scared. When I first went and they told us that we were going to have to do a solo trek at the end, I was kind of nervous and scared. But then after the whole time I spent there, I got more confident, and I felt like I was really prepared for the trek.
And did you encounter any issues on the solo trek?
Unfortunately, I did. When I went to the first spot at the map, there was no water. And since I had already started feeling dizzy and everything, I decided to just go to the rescue phone and call for help.
And are you familiar with the solo trek map that's been previously marked as Exhibit 3?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the map that they gave us. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you weren't done talking. Did you have access to this map, and were you familiar with it prior to setting out on the solo trek?
Yes, they'd use this to kind of guide us during the sessions at the end of the days that we were there. And then it was the map they gave us for when we set out on the trek.
And can you identify how many phones were marked on the map that you were given?
There was 7.
Okay. And in your emergency, was it difficult to gain access to one of these rescue phones?
In my experience, it was not difficult. I just set out for the closest one that was near me, and I just went to that one.
And why did you choose to go to a rescue phone rather than just to keep moving forward?
Well, during the sessions at night when we were done with the days, they'd always not only teach us how to read a compass and everything, they teach us how to find the signs of dehydration and everything. So when I started getting dizzy and I started feeling a little nauseous and everything, I knew it was a bad sign, so I decided to go to the rescue phone.
Thank you, Ms. Swift. I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
For cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Who was Casey Moore?
I believe he was the owner of the camp I went to.
Would you say you saw Casey Moore around often at the camp?
No, I did see him the first day I went there. He introduced us to everything, and then after that, I didn't see him. Most of the time, I just saw Mickey there.
Was Casey Moore in charge of camp activities?
No, that was Mickey. Mickey was there with us day to day, and he'd always be planning things, taking us places, and teaching us what we needed to be taught.
Casey Moore was in charge of the whole operation, though. Is that correct?
I wouldn't be like I said, I saw.
Is there an objection?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm objecting to lack of personal knowledge. Andy Swift was there as one of the patients during the August 2019 session, and while she's familiar with who Mickey Espinoza and Casey Moore are, she can't testify to their jobs and what they did from her point of view.
Is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Rule 602. This relies on the witness's personal perception. She either knows this question or she doesn't.
Is there a reply?
No, I don't have a reply, Your Honor.
You may answer to your own personal knowledge. So if you know, you can answer. If you don't, then you need to let us know that.
Okay. Like I was saying before the objection occurred, I don't know who was in charge. I know I saw them around, but I don't know who overall was in charge of the thing. I guess you could say both of them, but I wouldn't know personally.
Now, did Mickey want to do more for the camp?
Objection, Your Honor. This question calls for speculation. Andy Swift can't testify as to what Mickey or Casey wanted to do with anything. They can only testify to what they did with the two of them and their time there and their experience, not to what they wanted.
And I'm sorry, could you, for the state, could you repeat your question? I couldn't hear it when you stated it.
Yes. Would you say Mickey wanted to do more for the camp?
Okay. And so Ms. Geller has objected to that. Do you have a reply?
Yes, Your Honor. Rule 701. This witness has personally witnessed a conversation that makes this question applicable in the trial. If you would like, I can provide more foundation for this question.
A reply?
Yes, Your Honor. I would just request for more foundation because we have no knowledge of this because there was no foundation laid.
All right. At this point, the objection is sustained. However, you may lay more foundation and then ask the question. Go ahead.
On your first day at the camp, were you introduced to Casey Moore and Mickey Espinoza?
Yes, like I had stated, both of them in our little get together at the first were introduced and told us what the trek was going to be about.
During your first day at the camp, while you were eating, did you overhear a conversation between Mickey Espinoza and Casey Moore?
Yeah, I did hear some yelling, but I'm not quite sure what they're talking about, but yes.
All right. Now, did Mickey Espinoza discuss wanting to do more for the camp throughout this conversation?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm going to object to hearsay. While they could have heard like parts of that conversation, they didn't hear the whole conversation and can't testify to the exact aspects of it.
Is there a response?
Could you repeat the objection again, please?
Ms. Geller, could you repeat what you stated?
Yeah, I said I was going to object to hearsay as whether Ms. Swift could have heard parts of this conversation, but they didn't hear the whole conversation and can't testify to the aspects of it. And there's no foundation for what they did or didn't hear.
Does the state have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Party opponent, if I can recall that real quick.
Just to clarify.
This is excluded from hearsay.
And
may I respond, Your Honor?
Yes, but give me just a moment. And
Okay, my apologies.
it stated that it is not hearsay based on that it is a statement by a party opponent. Is that correct, Ms. Paget?
Yes, Your Honor.
And a reply from Ms. Geller?
Your Honor, this would only be an exception for the party opponent rule if Ms. Swift remembers exactly what was said, and she already stated previously that she doesn't remember exactly what was said. She just remembers there being stuff said between the two of them.
And is there a reply to that?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so the objection is overruled as far as related to what was stated by Ms. Moore, if Ms. Swift knows, but is sustained related to whatever was said by the other person. So you may need to re-ask the question and restate it differently.
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Ms. Paget.
May I ask, Ms. Swift, did you write and sign an affidavit?
Yes, I did.
Would this affidavit help you recall your memory?
I guess it's up to you. I remember writing an affidavit, yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with her affidavit?
You may.
Let me just get to the page here. All right, Ms. Swift, if I could have you refer to lines 64 and 65.
Sometimes I heard Mickey and Casey arguing about budgets and accounts. Sounded like Mickey wanted to spend more, but Casey said no.
And can I also refer you to all right, never mind. I will retract that statement. And these lines here, you did say that you heard Mickey and Casey arguing about budgets and accounts. Is that correct?
Yes, But like I said, I don't know if it was about the camp exactly, but that's what I heard them arguing about.
Ms. Swift, hold on just a minute. Ms. Geller, did you have another objection?
I had one, but I don't need to do it anymore, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. And I interrupted Ms. Swift. So Ms. Swift, could you repeat what you stated?
I was saying that I did say that in my affidavit, but again, I only heard that they were arguing about budgets and account. Don't exactly know if that's what the camp was what they were talking about.
You also stated here it sounded like he wanted to spend more. Is that correct?
Yes,
Objection,
but
Your-
I don't know to what.
This question calls for lack of personal knowledge. While this is what they overheard, they don't know the context of this interaction between the two of them, so they can't testify to it. As the witness has previously stated too, Your Honor. My apologies.
Is there a response, Ms. Paget?
Yes, Your Honor. Once again, I will call Rule 602. This is rationally perceived to the witness's personal perception. She either knows this question or she does not.
May I respond, Your Honor?
You may.
The witness has already stated that she does not know the context of this argument and what it was about or her understanding of it.
The objection is sustained.
All right. Were you given medical permission to do the solo trek beforehand?
Was I given medical permission, you said?
Yes.
Can you like elaborate on that question? I'm sorry. Like, can you like say it in other words?
Were you given a medical form from a doctor to do this solo trek beforehand?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm going to object to the foundation of this question. We weren't made aware of any form, if any exists at all, for whether or not to go on the solo trek.
Is there a response?
Your Honor, I will withdraw that question.
Okay, the question is withdrawn. You may proceed.
Due to chores around Ms. Swift.
I'm sorry, you cut off. Can you just repeat that question? Sorry.
Did you do chores around the camp, Ms. Swift?
Oh yes, like I had stated, we did daily chores. We'd wash dishes. If we had kitchen duty, we'd have to wake up like at 5:30. But after that, we like paint walls and watch the horses and then do rock climbing. I guess rock climbing isn't a chore, but yeah, I get it.
Did you often feel exhausted at the end of these chores?
I mean, it's more than what I ever did back home. So yeah, I guess it's something my body wasn't used to. But now I guess you could say I'm more fit, but yeah.
Were you fed at the camp, Ms. Swift?
Yes, we were.
3 times a day.
Yes.
And was this food healthy?
Yes, it was definitely healthy. I noticed that the first day because I'm always used to eating junk food. So yes, it was really healthy.
But did you still feel hungry at the end of these meals, Ms. Swift?
Yeah, you could say that I wasn't used to eating those portions because they're like the healthy portions of things, but yeah.
And on the solo trek, were you provided a map of the area?
Objection, Your Honor. This question has been asked and answered quite a few times.
Is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. I did not ask this question in the cross-examination of Andy Swift.
Is there a reply?
Yes, Your Honor. It has been previously established, though, that there was a map and it's in evidence, and we've referred to it already.
All right. I think this is a preliminary question, so the objection is overruled. You may answer.
Okay, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Were you given a map of the area?
Yes.
Were you able to trek this area beforehand?
Was I able to go on the trail beforehand?
Yes.
That's the question? No.
Were you provided with water bottles?
Yes.
But were these water bottles full?
Are you talking about for the solo trek? If they were full or beforehand? Sorry.
Beforehand, were they full?
Yes, because we'd have to drink. Yeah. Yes, you could say that.
And the water from the spring was dried up, is that correct?
For are you sorry, I'm just confused if you're talking about the solar trek or just
Yes,
the camp in general. Okay, if the spring, well, I only went to, I believe, one of them that was maxed out, and the first one I didn't find anything, no.
When you contacted your counselors, did they cancel the trek when finding out the spring had dried up?
No, I had called them because I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, so they can pick me up. I don't believe they went to go check for other people.
Your
or
Honor,
the
I have no
spring.
questions.
All right, Ms. Paget, are you done? I think that was a yes.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Is there any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Ms. Swift, you stated that Casey Moore was rarely there with you day to day. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct.
In fact, who was the one that was actually taking you out on day-to-day activities?
Mickey was the one who was there with us day to day.
And going back on the questions regarding the conversations that you overheard, did you hear the whole conversation?
No, like I said, I only heard part of it. I did hear them arguing, just I never actually knew what they were talking about.
So do you remember exactly what was said there?
No.
Okay. Were you given the option to not go on the solo if you didn't feel comfortable going?
Yes, we were. That was like, they let us know that if we didn't feel like it, or we weren't prepared, we could back out. And some kids did do that. I believe it was like one kid dropped out before we started. And then, yeah.
And would you say that you were doing more at the ranch physically than you were used to before you went there?
Yes. I'm a girl who just is on her phone most of the time, goes home from school and just is on her phone. So when I went there, it was much more than what I usually do.
And once again, did you benefit from doing the daily tasks that they had you do at the ranch?
Yes. I feel like I grew better as a person. I have set goals in life now, and I'm not just a hot mess. And my parents feel like I'm a much better person too. So that's a pro.
Okay, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, and is Ms. Swift under subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
May she be released?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Swift, you are released from your subpoena and you are free to go. Does the defense have any other witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor, the defense rests at this time.
All right. The evidence has now been closed. Are there any matters that we need to address before we move on to closing arguments?
Not for the defense, Your Honor.
Not for the prosecution, Your Honor.
All right. The state, do you have a closing?
Yes, we do.
Please proceed.
Greed, money, cutting corners, and negligence. These are the foundations presented at this trial that lead to the unfortunate death of a child at the Wilderness Ranch on August 29th, 2019 in Carter County, Wyoming. This child was Derek Overstreet, an attendee hoping to re-educate himself and become a better person. Derek Overstreet had pre-diabetes, was underfed, worked to utter exhaustion, and was not medically and physically prepared for this solo trek. There were 2 charges: criminally negligent homicide and involuntary manslaughter against the defendant, Casey Moore. Casey Moore recklessly ran the Wilderness Ranch and disregarded the medical condition of Derek Overstreet's pre-diabetes, to which he would die to this condition on a solo trek he was not prepared for. Your Honor, counsel of the jury, my name is Rebecca Paget. I am on prosecution with this case alongside Mario Nava and Garrett Parker. And this trial prosecution questioned 3 witnesses, Jamie Kildare, Parker Nichols, and Mickey Espinoza. And each of these witnesses has stated the exact same thing. The Wilderness Ranch was run cheaply. The food was small, and the children did chores that made them utterly exhausted at the end of the day. And this solo trek was heavily underprepared. The attendees on the solo trek, they were provided with little food, absolutely no water, and to add to that, none of the staff, including Casey Moore, the director of the Wilderness Ranch, checked the springs beforehand, to which they were dried up due to the drought. Furthermore, when discovering this problem, when attendees called in, they did not cancel the trek, leading to the death of Derek Overstreet. Parker Nichols has testified as a professional in childhood psychology and has stated that Derek Overstreet and the other attendings were unprepared and not ready for a solo trek in these harsh environments. The program ran under Casey Moore did not meet program safety standards and professionalism. They were overworked, malnourished, and dehydrated. Additionally, Mickey Espinoza has stated that the plan over this trek was directed by Casey Moore and has pressed that the kids were heavily underprepared for this trek, and additionally stated that all of the ideas leading up to Derek Overstreet's demise was under Casey Moore. Finally, witness Jamie Kildare, a doctor in the medical field, Derek Overstreet's death, which presented heat stroke and dehydration due to pre-diabetes. This presents poor medical care from the camp, caused death, as well as the rough, poor terrain of Calhoun County, Wyoming. Additionally, they had a witness on the defensive side who $10,000 to serve on their board of advisors. The person speaking in the defense is getting paid. Casey said the fee was high because she needed to live. 13 kids at $10,000 per kid, $4,000 for cost leaves $6,000 for profit. That means Casey Moore made $78,000 the month Derek Overstreet died. I wonder if that was enough money to allow Derek Overstreet to live. The details of this case have been proven to be criminally negligent, and as a result of this issue, the people of the jury, now is the time to decide. Casey Moore is criminally negligent of homicide and manslaughter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does the defense have a closing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Throughout today's trial, we heard many different sides regarding the death of Derek Overstreet. And while his death was tragic, tragedies are not crimes, let alone something punishable by law. Casey Moore started the CREATE program for one reason and one reason only, and that was to help struggling teens find their way back onto the straight and narrow. Casey Moore created this 1-month outdoor therapy program with her old college colleague with the goal of helping these kids. Casey chose Miss Espinoza because she trusted her with the day-to-day safety and therapy of the kids and hired her as the program coordinator and entrusted her with many responsibilities. But what Casey Moore didn't know was that her longtime friend would go on to play a significant part in accusing her of this horrible, tragic death, despite the fact that Espinoza herself was the program coordinator and she was the one that managed the ranch day-to-day herself, and it was her job to manage these things. We also heard that Casey Moore wasn't even actively involved in the daily activities at the ranch. Derek's death was nothing more than a tragic accident, and at the end of the day, a tragedy isn't a crime. Today, you were asked to find Casey Moore not guilty if you cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Casey Moore acted recklessly and consciously disregarded a substantial and unjustifiable risk that resulted in the death of young Derek Overstreet, or that Miss Casey Moore made a gross deviation from the standard of care that a reasonable person would exercise. While it's easy for the state to say that they did prove these things, they simply didn't. They did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Casey acted recklessly, As a matter of fact, Casey didn't act recklessly or consciously disregard anything when it came to the safety standards at the ranch, and Casey never aimed to put these kids at risk before they went onto the solo. While it's no argument that the lack of water isn't a risk factor, Casey provided the tools herself with the rescue phones so that the kids could call them and come get picked up and taken to safety. It's also beyond safe to say that Casey Moore did not grossly deviate from the standard of care that a reasonable person would exercise, because Casey met the safety standards and provided all that was required of her to provide for the kids at the ranch. Today, the state tried to argue that she fell below the standards because not all their counselors were properly certified, but she provided more than enough counselors to help the kids at the ranch, even if some of them were just bright young interns trying to put a start to their career. Today, we heard from Andy Swift herself, who was an eyewitness at the camp for the August 2019 session, and she said herself that the counselors helped her more than she could have even imagined. Today, the state also tried to say that the kids were overworked and malnourished, but Andy Swift herself said that she had a great benefit from the hard labor, though it was more than she was used to at times. And the food was just hard to get used to because of this hard work, but she had a great benefit from the process that the camp had put her through. Today, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want you to ask yourselves one thing, and that is, would somebody who dedicated her own life to caring for and helping kids who were troubled knowingly neglect and cause the death of a child who they only wanted to help? And can you safely say that she did this beyond a reasonable doubt? Once again, the passing of young Derek Overstreet was tragic, but his death was caused by a series of unfortunate events, and that is a tragedy, but a tragedy is not a crime. So at this time, I ask you to refrain from convicting an innocent woman and find Casey Moore not guilty, because she only wanted to make a positive change, and a tragedy is not a crime. Thank you.
Thank you all. I believe that concludes the trial. I have a few things that I need to go through with both sides. From the state side, do you believe there was any material violations to the time limits?
No, Your Honor.
And from the defense side, do you believe there were any material violation to the time limits?
No, Your Honor.
Are there any objections from the state based on any violation of tournament rules?
No, Your Honor.
And from the defense, are there any objections based on violations of tournament rules?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I really want to congratulate all of you. You truly, both teams did a fantastic job. You really did. I'm very impressed with how prepared you were, how well you knew your case. You all clearly studied up on the rules, both of evidence and of how the mock trial was to proceed. And you had very robust and very good objections throughout the trial. And it seemed like the longer we went, the more objections you were giving, and really were starting to make me really work in this trial. So you did a great job, and I want to thank all of you.